These QBs are pretty good value. Welcome back to the ADP Average Dudes podcast. I am your average dude, Matt Mormon, and let's talk about some of those quarterback sleepers. Obviously, they're the guys at the very top of the list, right? You've got your Patrick Mahomes, you've got your Jalen Hurts, your Lamar Jacksons, but who are kind of the next level of guys, or even the guys below that, who can really make a big difference for your fantasy football team? Let's go through that, and let's start out with my favorite sleeper. And I don't even know if sleeper is the right word here to use here. Really more of just like a value player, and that's Dak Prescott. He was the QB3 last season. He's going as QB9 off the board this season behind Joe Burrow and Jordan Love, and I just don't really get it as far as why he'd be behind those two guys. Burrow, I get a little bit more in that you do have Chase and Higgins, you have the high upside with those guys, but the injury risk that we've seen Joe Burrow display in the past couple of years, as well as his receivers, I don't think he also has quite the upside to be what Dak just was last season. Jordan Love, look, I love Jordan Love. This is by no means slander on him. I think he's a really good quarterback. I don't see the upside for him being able to do what Dak just did. And I'm expecting the running game this season to be totally suspect with the Dallas Cowboys once again, just like it was last year, and they really got away from it. That meant more short passing, more rhythm passing for Dak Prescott, and just more being put on his plate. That volume spiked up. I see no reason why that wouldn't happen again with Rico Dowdle and Zeke Elliott as the two main running back options. One thing just to keep an eye on, if CeeDee Lamb's holdout continues too late, if we even get to the season, there's no CeeDee Lamb, then of course this would change. He is very much dependent on CeeDee Lamb, but that doesn't scare me away too much though. I think to get a deal done, or CeeDee just goes back and play and get the leverage. My second favorite sleeper this season, and this is probably my actual favorite sleeper among quarterbacks this season, and that's Kyler Murray. He was QB 8 per game last year in a pretty limited sample size. He was coming back from that torn ACL, and he did not have a wide receiver one to speak of. Now he has a healthy knee again after an extra year away from that injury, and he's got Marvin Harrison Jr. to throw the ball to. You still have Trey McBride there, and you can get him pretty darn late. He's kind of the line to me, where it's like he's the last of the QB1s going off the board. If I miss out on all the bigger guys, I definitely want to be grabbing Kyler in like round 9-ish, I think is kind of around the range. And I would grab Kyler. I probably want to go ahead and grab like a Jared Goff also, and just kind of throw him on the back of my bench also for safety purposes. But I'm very, very happy to go into the season with Kyler Murray as my QB1. Now we're going to talk about a couple of rookies here, and we're going to talk about a couple more young players here coming up. And let's first talk about Jayden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. This dude, rushing quarterbacks have always been kind of the secret sauce for fantasy football quarterbacks. It's a very easy way to get a lot of points for players who maybe aren't even all that good. Looking at you, Justin Fields, and that's kind of the path I can see Jayden Daniels taking. Now, he does have a weapon in Terry McLaurin that's better than a lot of those rushing QBs see, but I think we can definitely see a world where in his first rookie season, Jayden Daniels goes out here and runs the ball a ton, and that just brings up his value, and he can easily finish in the top 10 really just by running the football so much. If he can get some of those rushing touchdowns in, I think that'd be great too. He's a much cheaper version, I think, of Anthony Richardson, and AR, I prefer him quite a bit over Daniels, but I think Jayden Daniels is a very, very good fallback option. He's going as quarterback 14 after Tua, Goff, and Brock Purdy. I think he's got more upside than all three of those guys this season, just because of that rushing touchdown. Now, he is more a risky play than those guys, so it's one of those things. If I draft Kyler, maybe I want to grab Brock Purdy instead of Jayden Daniels, but I think Daniels definitely has a lot of upside. And another quarterback from this rookie class who I think has a ton of upside is Caleb Williams. The first overall pick this season gets to step right into a situation probably better than any first overall pick quarterback I've ever seen, maybe better than any first round quarterback I've ever seen, as he steps into the Chicago Bears offense with DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, and Keenan Allen all surrounding him. And hey, even DeAndre Swift to give some checkdowns to, right? So there's a lot of options there at his disposal. He is a downfield, risky quarterback, and I expect that to continue going in the NFL. We'll see how that goes. I think the upside's there, though. If those wide receivers really lift him up, then, man, we could be looking at a top 12 guy for sure. And he's going just outside of that, but you can grab him kind of late. In a super flex league, I love the idea of grabbing him as my QB, too. I think that's a really, really strong quarterback 2 option. All right, so when you're talking about sleepers, here's the thing about a sleeper. These guys cannot be guys that everyone says, oh yeah, he's really good, we all love him, because then it's not a sleeper, right? Like, if everyone is in on all these guys, that kind of defeats the point, defeats the purpose. So sometimes you gotta look down deep. Go down the list, keep on scrolling. Do it right now. Pull up ADV. Just keep going down. Go down a little bit further. What are you looking at right now? You're looking at like Q like 18? No, go down a little bit further. Go look at Will Levis. I think he is this year's Geno Smith or Baker Mayfield, right? And I know he's not quite the same as those guys, and that, you know, they were on their second, third, fourth teams, and they kind of flamed out years prior. But what I mean by that is I think that he is this year's quarterback who is kind of a middling player, but gets really boosted by those weapons around him, right? We saw that with Geno Smith, with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. We saw that with Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin. I think we're going to see that with Will Levis, having Calvin Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins throw the ball to. I think those two guys are going to really boost Levis up this season. I think he's going to have a really nice year, and I think the defense isn't very good, so you should be in a lot of high-scoring, high-pass volume situations. Derrick Henry no longer being on this roster to me means they're not going to be a team that runs the football 35 times per game. They're going to want to spread this thing out a little bit. They're going to want to chuck this ball. They're going to have to chuck this ball. I think Will Levis is just going to kind of be able to compile a little bit. And I think that, you know, in a super flex league, I think that's kind of the range we're looking at here. We're looking at your QB2 options here, and probably if you draft as your QB3. He's moving off 24th off the board in Fantasy Pros right now. So I think he's definitely a guy you can grab at the very end of your draft, or, you know, in super flex, you may have to spend more of a mid-round pick. But I think he's one who definitely can be a very serviceable QB2 in a super flex league this season. Tell me, who are your favorite late round quarterbacks? Leave that comment down below, and we'll see you next time.